daily. Is that your thing? Is that what you do? You do Investors Business Daily?
Yeah, that's the company I work for, and I work in the stock market.
All right. So are you cutting all your holdings in Russia?
Well, actually looking to buy the Russian currency, the RSX, because it's at a major low.
Okay, yeah, all right, I understand. No snide comment from me. Yeah, that you buy low, sell high, they're in trouble, yay. Okay. Right. Okay, it's good to be back together again. I have a news flash. I am going to presume that nobody here knows this. Here is the news flash. Pat Robertson, evangelical preacher, well known to the world, a little bit on the aged side. Pat Robertson just announced God is using Vladimir Putin to launch the war of Gog and Magog. Armageddon is at hand. Okay, so that's it. If you want to just break now for coffee and wait until the world comes to an end, or we'll go ahead. But thank you, Pat Robertson. Thank you.
I have a burning question.
Okay, Susie, burn.
It's been so troublesome to me and others that I know the last week that our beloved country of Israel has not joined the rest of the countries in the world to support what's going on with the Ukraine.
Okay, now, obviously, what I was going to do, and we're simply going to do it with your comments, Susie, we're going to talk about the Ukraine, and it has a bunch of Jewish concerns. Let me just address your question as you drop your electric hand. Let me address your question. Israel has voted with the United Nations to condemn the invasion. During that UN debate, the Israeli ambassador did not speak. Israel has not gone out separately to condemn Russia, but has joined in group condemnations. What's going on? What's going on is Russia is heavily involved in Syria. You know this. Russia occupies and had a successful military operation to occupy much of Syria. Israel, in the past 4 months, has been bombing Iranian ammunition supplies, deliveries, missile deliveries into Syria. Israel coordinates its attacks on Iranian supply deliveries with the Russians. Israel notifies the Russians, we are going to attack Iranian supplies. Russia gives the okay, Israel attacks. Susie, do you begin to see the problem? If Israel goes heavy against Russia, it would dramatically increase the threats on Israel from its Syrian border. And if you think politics are complicated, you are right. It is not simple. By the way, Israel has what's called 1 million Russians Israeli citizens today. But what we call Russian citizens, many of them are from the Ukraine. They came in the 1990s. They came in the 1990s when Ukraine was still considered to be Russia. And so in Israel, there are pro-Ukrainian activists, pro-Russian activists, anti-Russian activists, and the airspace over Syria. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. You asked a tremendously important question, and I tried to give you an answer. It's the best I could do, but let me go into some stuff here. There is a public intellectual, Jewish, who is known across the world, Bernard-Henri Levy, Bernie Henry Levy, but he's French. So he's Bernard-Henri Levy. Now, Levy is a world famous public intellectual, which means that he lives up here, writes his essays, books, and columns, and everyone in the world reads it. Okay? That's what a public intellectual kind of is.
Rabbi, he was just at the temple just recently.
That is correct. Yes, that is correct. Now, he writes, this was February 28th. I don't know if by the time this article appears, Vladimir Zelensky will still be alive. We do know that he is in Kiev, surrounded by his generals in a bunker that the Russian fighter jets seek. And we have just seen him in a video where he appears helmetless outside like a young Churchill walking in the poor neighborhoods of London during the Nazi Blitz, September 1940. I also know that he is at the top of the Kremlin kill list. His recent farewells come to mind. On Friday, February 25th, he said over Zoom to a special meeting of the European Union, quote, "This is maybe the last time that you will see me alive." Close quote. Levy, what is greatness? That heroism, calm and proud. The way he told President Biden, who offered up an exfiltration is a very fancy word for pull him out, to exfiltrate, to pull him out. Zelensky said, I need weapons, not a taxi. And Putin, today's Pinochet, you can try, and Putin is therefore today's Pinochet. Zelensky continued, you can try to kill me. I am ready for it, since I know that the idea lives in me and will survive me. When I look at Putin, Zelensky said, this man does not see. He has eyes, but does not see. If he does look, it's with an icy stare, devoid of all expression. Zelensky frequently now is resourcing Jewish texts over and over. It is amazing. So what about his Judaism? He was born to Holocaust survivors. He is a strong believer, quote, there is less anti-Semitism in Ukraine than in France, and above all, less than in Russia. By the way, Zelensky said, wasn't it not Russian, but Ukrainian army units that liberated Auschwitz after all? So when Russia claims it liberated Auschwitz, the Ukrainians in the Red Army liberated Auschwitz. Okay, the article ends. May the gods be with us, with him. The free world, which is also at stake in the battle for Kyiv, and the Europe of principles have found a new, young, and magnificent founding father. It is important, because Levy is important, to understand that Zelensky now is a world-class significant person. Then, right after the Russian bombs fell at the site of the 1941 massacre of Ukrainian Jews, that place is known as what? Baba Yar. Please never forget Baba Yar. The Russian attack on a television installation damaged the Baba Yar Memorial in Kyiv. In Kyiv, the site where Nazis and local collaborators executed tens of thousands of Jews. A city not far from Uman. Do you know Uman? The place where the Nachman of Berdichev's followers go and by the thousands, hundreds of thousands, to make pilgrimage. After the bombing of part of the Baba Yar Memorial, Zelensky said the following, quote, addressing all the Jews of the world, don't you see why this is happening? That is why it is very important that millions of Jews around the world do not remain silent now. Nazism, Zelensky said, Nazism is born in silence. Nazism is born in silence, so shout about the killings of civilians. Shout about the killings of Ukrainians.
Right on, Rabbi.
And what I am suggesting to this group, because I know you guys, you are not the silent type. Take a moment when you're done, send an email to anyone you feel comfortable sending an email to. Congressman, senator, president, you name it. Just send an email saying, stop the Russians, or something like that. Stop the killing of Ukrainians.
Rabbi, I have an idea.
Tell me.
Okay, you know the Trojan Horse, right?
Yes.
And we have the IDF, we have the Navy SEALs, and the boys will be out of town in their tanks. And I think we should go in there to the St. Peter. We should go to the Capitol, overtake it, and then plan a summit like this Purim is coming, and plan a summit and invite him and let NATO, because I was on Zoom with Mr. Jens Stoltenberg and they head of NATO and head of Ukraine. I was going to be in a Zoom chat with online. And I just think that we should plan a summit where he's invited. He thinks he's going to get honored. And then NATO votes him out of office. And then we overtake the city and the people are protesting.
Okay, Donna, well, I just received notification from West Point. Please do not discuss military secrets on your current events class Wednesdays at Wilshire Boulevard. So, okay, we're gonna hold. The message has gone out. I would like to do something different here because I know that Baba Yar is being forgotten. And I know that Baba Yar is part of the Ukrainian Jewish and world Jewish story.
Yes, really.
You know that Yevgeny Yevtushenko was the one who wrote Baba Yar, one of the most famous eulogistic poems ever written. No monument stands over Baba Yar, a steep cliff only like the rudest headstone. I am afraid. Today I am as old as the entire Jewish race itself. Yevtushenko is writing, he's not Jewish. Again, I am afraid. Today I am as old as the entire Jewish race itself. I see myself an ancient Israelite. I wander o'er the roads of ancient Egypt, and here upon the cross I perish, tortured, and even now I bear the marks of nails. It seems to me that Dreyfus is myself. The Philistines betrayed me and now judge. I'm in a cage, surrounded and trapped. I'm persecuted, spat on, slandered, and the dainty dollies in their Brussels frills squeal as they stab umbrellas at my face. I see myself a boy in Bialystok. Blood spills and runs upon the floor. The chiefs of Baron, the chief, I think the chefs, well, whatever. The chiefs of bar and pub rage unimpeded and reek of vodka and of onion half and half. I'm thrown back by a boot. I have no strength left. In vain, I beg the rabble of pogrom to jeers of kill the Jews and save our Russia. My mother's being beaten by a clerk. Oh, Russia of my heart, I know that you are international by inner nature, but often those whose hands are steeped in filth abused your purest name in name of hatred. I know the kindness of my native land, how vile that without the slightest quiver, the anti-Semites have proclaimed themselves the union of the Russian people. It seems to me that I am Anna Frank, transparent as the thinnest branch in April, and I'm in love and have no need of phrases, but only that we gaze into each other's eyes. How little one can see or even sense. Leaves are forbidden, so is sky. In darkened rooms, each other to embrace. They come. No, fear not. Those are sounds of spring itself. She's coming soon. Quickly, your lips. They break the door. No. River ice is breaking. With grasses, wild grasses rustle over Baba Yar. The trees look sternly, as if passing judgment. Here, silently, all screams. And hat in hand, I feel my hair changing shade to gray. I myself, like one long soundless scream, above the thousands and thousands interred, I am every old man executed here, as I am every child murdered here. No fiber of my body will forget this. May Internationale, the Russian anthem, thunder and ring, when for all time is buried and forgotten the last of anti-Semites on this earth. There is no Jewish blood that's blood of mine, but hatred with a passion that's corrosive, am I by anti-Semites like a Jew. And that's why I call myself a Russian. Evgeny Yevtushenko, don't forget his Baba Yar. And don't forget Baba Yar. And don't forget what Zelensky is saying to us.
You are such a wise rabbi.
Pardon?
You're a wise rabbi. Thank you so much, Rabbi.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's worth also reading Chaim Nachman Bialik about Babi Yar. He wrote a whole poem.
Panina, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. What did you
I
say?
said Chaim Nachman Bialik wrote a whole poem by the name of Babi Yar. A whole.
Oh, okay, but Bialik was writing before Baba Yar became.
No. It's about the slaughter. He wrote a big poem about the slaughter in Babi Yar.
That's Kishinev. That slaughter, Ir HaHarega, is not Baba Yar.
There is also a poem by the name of Babi Yar.
Okay, good. We will look there.
Okay.
Now, I would like to pause just for a moment and open it up because we're a conversation place. Zelensky is becoming the hero and the name of this entire sordid exercise. He is being compared with Churchill by everybody. Zelensky yesterday, while the bombing was occurring, took a cup of coffee and went out to be with the soldiers in the trenches.
God bless him.
Like Churchill went out during the Blitzkrieg. What we are looking at now is a name that will live. And do we feel proud that he is overtly Jewish? As proud of that, as miserable as I felt that Bernie Madoff was Jewish. Boom!
Right on, Rabbi.
Boom! Exact opposite. This is a man who rose to an occasion and is making world history. I'm going to stop with my comments because I get very excited about Zelensky and very worried. Ray says a current day Maccabee. Indeed. Comments? Anyone want to jump in with your thoughts or feelings about what's happening? Not just the Jewish context, if you will. What's going on? There was State of the Union last night that talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone want to offer a comment before we move on? We've got lots to do, but I think it's worth a pause. And I can accept. Okay, I see Doris.
I was going to ask Rabbi, I missed the first few minutes of your program because I was at Sisterhood, but what happened to all the countries that were coming to the aid of the Ukrainians? They were all going to bring, and not the United States, because I don't think we were doing much for them, but the Germany and France were sending stuff to them. Has it gotten to them yet? I know it has to come by land. It's probably pretty difficult because their whole area is blocked off, but has anything gotten through? Do you know?
The answer is yes. The answer is millions and millions of dollars of aid from the United States in dollars.
Right. It's $1 billion.
From Germany and the UK
Yeah.
and Poland. One of the reasons Kyiv isn't going to survive. As much as we want to fantasize that Kyiv will survive, it won't. It'll fall if there's a 40-mile line of Russian military trucks, and the Ukrainians cannot attack that line by air.
The president hadn't held up.
For political reasons.
For political reasons.
Somebody should be
It's not an attack.
muted. Someone should be muted. I'm sorry. A lot of missiles, anti-tank missiles, a lot of other military equipment is arriving regularly into Ukraine. And what we understand, I believe, is that that armament not only is designed to slow the Russian march to Kyiv and Kharkiv and so forth, but it's to arm the insurgency once the Russians take full control of the country. And we can talk about that, but I see Harv. Yes, Harv?
I'd like to point out that Ukraine would be in a little bit better position if the previous administration did not hold up U.S. armaments to Ukraine for political reasons.
And that's a factual statement. And you know, yes, that in fact happened. Ukraine's been in play for all kinds of reasons. Any other comments, please? Any other comments?
Yeah.
And okay, Doris?
Well, also Biden and Obama, when they had the opportunity to give aid to the Ukraine, they did not do it. So
They're doing it now.
Well, they're doing it now. That's right.
now,
Yeah, they are.
if it had been done years ago, we wouldn't be in this position, however.
Okay, Enid, you are
Oh.
totally correct that they are doing it now,
Right.
and they are supplying.
At the State of the Union, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just, because there's so much pain, and I'm looking for the good guy besides Zelensky, and I don't find the good guy in Biden, in Trump, or in anybody. I don't find any good guys out there.
Well,
If the United States were to launch any military action involving U.S. troops or U.S. like airplane pilots, flying bombers and stuff, we would be immediately and directly into World War III, and Pat Robertson would be right. We are in Armageddon. There is a great reluctance to do that. And I have to say, as much as it kills me to say, what I want is the United States to bomb that entire column of 40 miles of Russian trucks. Just bomb them.
I agree.
I have a
I do
feeling,
too.
not that I have any close connections with Russia, but I have a feeling the Russians would react with a bit of anger if that occurred. And the exact reaction would be nuclear war.
That's right.
And that's my guess. And so what I want to have happen can't happen. I saw another hand. Okay, Ray, are you, Ray?
Yes, I'm here. What I wanted to say is that we are seeing American corporations and foreign corporations doing what world leaders have yet been willing to do. We have boycotts from Apple Computers, Exxon, Shell, General Motors is not going to be selling vehicles there, Volkswagen. We've seen shipping companies that are refusing to pick up Russian oil. FedEx is not making deliveries, and Delta and American Airlines are boycotting Russia. Elon Musk has put up satellites, or has directed some of his satellites to provide a backup communication system. And I don't remember any time in my life ever seeing a solidarity like this with American businesses united in an assault against tyranny. And I think this is this is an amazing time. And it makes me feel very, very positive. While leaders are inept, apparently inept to handle this, American corporations are stepping up.
I am not so much into inept. Like when Germany refused initially to cancel out that big pipeline, I understand the problem. And they came through and they did the right thing. The world was pretty, I have to clean my language up here, perturbed with Germany for its delay. But they did the right thing eventually. Ray, what I would like to, as a slight humorous aside, I'm wondering if Ben and Jerry is going to pull out of Russia. But no, I shouldn't have said that. It was snide and beneath me. If Howard is applauding, I said something wrong. So that's no good. But there's another thing which comes with cynicism bred of old age. With all of the boycotts and the withdrawals by international corporations, we are going to find out in 2 or 3 months that nevertheless some of the corporations that announced boycotts managed to ship stuff in and over and around. Every time the world agrees on a boycott, there are still those who took the publicity, were opposed, and a month later, well, yeah, I mean, some of our agents did and supply. Okay, so I am celebrating, but I won't be surprised. Any other comments?
I like the Ben and Jerry comment.
I do too.
Yeah, it was unworthy of me. Okay, Merle.
I'm having some concerns about the issues, the comments made at the CPAC conference last weekend from some of our senators, not to mention our past president.
Yes.
How those 2 or 3 people that spoke and said what they said, how is that affecting the rest of Senate? And how are they going to react to this as far as anything happening here? Or are they going to create something to happen here that's going to make it all worse?
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Again, thank God I take recourse in the prophet Amos. Lo navi anochi velo ben navi. I am not a prophet nor the son of a prophet. I may be the son of something else, but I am not the son of a prophet. Having said that, I'm going to make prophecy, okay? Even though I'm not formally a prophet. Short of our actually being in a hot war, Americans care more and will in this election cycle about domestic issues than on foreign affairs. And I'm not celebrating that. I am reflecting what I believe. That former President Trump considers the Putin moves as being genius-like and suggests that we should follow his example in dealing with our southern border. As outrageous, as insane as I believe that comment to be, it will not serve to affect many people's choice of voting. And prove me wrong, God. I'm willing. Prove me wrong. But my assumption is that it's going to be domestic issues that will be the big turning points, and it will not be the debate over who lost Ukraine. It just won't. That's, and people, by the way, since that's Stanley speaking, you're all welcome to say, boo, hiss, you're wrong. And I accept that.
I'm being hopeful.
You're being,
You're right.
okay, I mean, that's fine. But as much as that took the headlines, you asked the right question. You know, what's going to be the impact of that? You already have seen that, Merle.
True.
People are forgetting. It happened. It was condemned for a day. We're back to domestic issues. And in my mind, when we get to November, that's how people are going to vote. They're going to vote as they see domestic issues unfolding. And I'm certainly, again, please jump on me and attack me. I don't feel comfortable not being attacked.
I'm not going to attack you, but God forbid anybody vote for Donald Trump. He loves Putin. He's such a schmuck.
No, I think you just violated one of the starting things. No, we can't say that. Okay, we're going to move on past Ukraine unless anyone has something else they would like to add or comment upon. Okay, Risa, I know that you're sitting next to Gilroy. Could you move the camera a little bit? I would like to introduce Gilroy to our community. Gilroy is my health aide and very good friend, and I survived because of the two of them. So thank you. And I just wanted to you know, to mention that. Okay. Anything else? We're going to move on. I have so much stuff. Okay. Book banning. There is a big, for example, last night in the Republican response, I'm forgetting, Governor of Iowa? I think Governor of Iowa.
Yes.
Governor of Iowa spoke.
Reynolds.
Pardon?
Her name's Reynolds.
Okay.
He's an idiot.
Thank you, Enid. It didn't catch. Okay, Governor Reynolds, among the things that she really hit hard on, because she knows, as I know, domestic issues will be the focus of what's going on. No one can take from parents the right to determine what their children learn, read, and experience in schools and in doctors' offices and so forth. I would, in other words, in response to the removal of MAUS, M-A-U-S, from curriculum in one school, there's been a major upheaval about censorship. And in that upheaval, interestingly, publishers have been sending free copies of MAUS to that entire county. Anyone who wants it, I'm not just sending it out, but anyone who wants it, publishers are sending, and I think that's a great response. It's fun. Should parents have a right to override school board decisions? Do school boards have the right to determine what our kids, grandkids study, are exposed to, have teachers who teach in a certain way with a certain bias? What's the balance between parental concern and rights and the right of a school system and educators to create a appropriate educational environment? Stop there. Question: how do you respond to that? How do you feel about that? Howard?
So when I was going to school at Hamilton High School in West LA in the 1950s.
Yay, Yankees.
Right. it was just taken for granted that social studies, which is what they called history at that time, just ended in around 1950 or 40 maybe. They just somehow the revised books hadn't come out, and the teachers told us, well, I can't get into that. The parents would be up in arms; they would be screaming. So it was just taken for granted, at least at that particular school, which had a very right-wing principle, that you have to respect the prejudices and biases of the parents. I don't know whether it's gotten worse or better, but we have a long tradition of that.
Okay, thank you. Susie?
I think that teachers have the responsibility to share with the students what's going on in the world. And I think that you can state it in such a way that there doesn't have to be a bad guy and a good guy. Because I remember 9/11, we all had to go to work. I remember waking up at 6:30 in the morning and seeing the explosion on television and whatever. And I listened to the radio and all, and schools were not closed. So I went to school, and my kids were little, 5 and 6 years old. But they hear what their parents say, and they see what they saw on television. And they knew what happened. They knew what happened, but they didn't know who the bad guys were or who the good guys were because they were too young. But they were very, very frightened that something like this could happen. They were worried that it could happen at school, right at school. So I don't think that we can sweep things under the rug. And I'm totally against banning books. Totally against that. I don't know how we can get away with it, because I always thought there was free speech in our country. And you could get any book you wanted from the library or whatever.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments?
Rabbi, may I speak? The LGBTQ community, there are children that are transgender and gay, and they deserve the right to be who they are. And thank God that I'm a Reformed Jew.
Okay, Ray?
Yes, I think school boards are elected positions, the people who sit on these boards. And because of that, school boards are inherently biased one way or another. And I think if you are going to deny parents the right to determine what is being taught, then you have to accept the fact that when an administration comes in that you don't like the last administration, I know your feelings on that, you have to accept that they are going to determine curricula. The answer to all of this is school choice, giving parents vouchers so that they can opt out of government schools if they can't afford on their own to send their children to private school. Because school boards and their curriculum and their teachings are inherently biased based on the ideology of the people who run the school board.
Thank you. Comments, Panita?
Okay, I think that many schools are seeing now the value of having parents, teachers meetings and constant, frequent meetings, whether in small groups or the whole school involved. And I think this is where the PTA supposed to come in and kind of like put their 2 cents in. I know a case where the school put together as a musical, the first musical of the year, Jesus Christ Superstar. And the value musically, I think it's amazing. And it was very old fashioned and a lot of, an old production that was constantly at the time was a big thing. And they never thought that the kids at that age might translate the killing of Jesus to promote hate and resentment toward the Jewish students. So that person and of all, one of the kids was Jewish, was chosen to be Judah. So actually the people put played the musical together, changed their mind, and they did not include the ending. They cut it at a certain point where the kids were like, the point where they were all free and they were like expressing themselves, all this 70s stuff that was going on, late 60s, 70s, with all this free expression with the flower children and all that stuff. But they avoided the ending of the play, of the musical. And the person who actually brought their attention to it was very surprised that it worked. So there is a way that people will listen, but you have to actually allow the participation of the parents into your daily curriculum. Sometimes it does make a difference, and it matters. Okay.
Yeah, sometimes for better and for worse, but the point you're making is that we're not living in an age in which the school board is insulated from criticism, objection by parents. On the other hand, the school
and it was
board,
a private school, by the way, very famous, and they took it in consideration.
Most often, the people who object represent a minority, a vocal minority. They show up in a meeting and they seem to fill the room, but do they really represent the population of parents? And so what you said is so real to me. Without having an issue, the pattern of having ongoing meetings, regular meetings, parents, faculty, school board, just, like that, before there is an issue, represents to me the way that we have to operate today as opposed to what used to be. Yes. Okay, thank you. Any other comments on school board, parents, book banning? One of the great philanthropic moves in the 20th century was the establishment of PJ Library. Have you heard about that, the PJ Library?
Yes.
A fellow, Risa, where is he from? Worcester? Is it, I forget, is he Worcester, Massachusetts, or Springfield? Maybe Springfield. Anyway, he established, his charity is to make books available. Just, you want children's books, you want this. He funds the availability of books all across the country.
It's Worcester.
And it's a great thing. I see a Harvey hand up, but I'm not sure that it's not Mara.
And you are correct. I just wanted to make one comment in terms of the whole issue of parents and banning books, which is that I think our country has moved in the wrong direction in terms of understanding what the classroom is for, both at the lowest levels and even at the university levels. The purpose of education is to teach children and adults how to critically think about the information that they're presented with. And if we begin if we fail to provide an opportunity for children to come into contact with a variety of information, a variety of intellectual stances, then we do them a real disservice. And in essence, all we do is allow them to be indoctrinated with whatever their parents happen to believe. And I'm not saying that their parents may believe in things that children shouldn't embrace, but that they in their lifetimes need to make the decision intellectually about where they stand on various issues.
I think maybe one of the most important things we can do with children and grandchildren, nephews and nieces and all those people is to teach them critical thinking. It's not to hide things from them so much as it is to have them look at everything with clear, critical, in the technical sense, critical, a clear, critical eye, and nothing gets accepted at face value. Everything needs to be subjected to an analysis and a consideration of how we feel. Okay, I don't want to dominate. Let's see, we have here Rodney.
Yes, I think we have an impossible situation. We're really caught between a rock and a hard place. In normal circumstances, I would say that the professionals, in this case, the educators, should determine curriculum and not the parents. However, we're at a point where you cannot teach or say anything that might possibly be offensive to anyone. So it's really impossible to teach. Either the parents are going to have to give in, or the teachers and the school boards are going to have to give in, but neither one of them is right. And so I don't know how this can ever be resolved.
Okay, far be it for me to jump into a problem area, because that's not what this is about, right? I am pushed to the edge already with microaggressions. And that was mentioned by the governor last night. And I have to tell you, though, of course, I would not support a word that she said, quietly, I said to myself, yeah. It's not just in school. It's in the public marketplace. It's everywhere. Microaggressions. Did we mention what happened to the rabbi of Sinai Temple, whose name is going to block out of my head?
Wolpe.
Rabbi
Wolpe?
Wolpe. Enid, don't.
Oh, Silverman.
No, I meant Wolpe. And please, Enid, do me a favor. Don't mute yourself. I need you. I need you to help me. Okay. Now, did we mention last time about Wolpe going to the Super Bowl? Okay. Rabbi Wolpe has been conducting a program in the congregation, in his huge conservative congregation, imposing, mandating masks, vaccination, etc., social distancing. The parents of the day school, Sinai Akiba, I think it's called, the day school, were really objecting. And after a while, that is coming into now time, they are, as many people are, if you will, sick and tired of the process. They want the kids to be able to be educated without masks. Rabbi Wolpe has been very firm. Rabbi Wolpe received a gift ticket to the Super Bowl, from what I understand from looking at a picture, about the 4th row. It was a good seat. And even bad seats are expensive, very expensive. And this was a good seat. So there is a picture posted in social media of Rabbi Wolpe at the Super Bowl, broad smile. Wait a second, that smile is not covered by a mask. There has been close to armed combat at Sinai Temple in attacking the rabbi. It has become, the rabbi publicly had to deliver an apology during a sermon. Now, I'm not accustomed to that because most rabbis never make mistakes. But he had to apologize. He had to go through all kinds of contortions. And the vitriol, personal attacks were horrifying. On the one hand, he was totally wrong. No, he was. And he said it. He made a mistake. He was wrong. On the other hand, the capacity of people to attack personally and to object and to raise the flag of purity and correctness. And, you know, I don't like to get into these things, but if I did, I'd really say I'm tired of this level of vitriolic assault. Oh, forget that I said this. Okay, I see Merle, and then Penina has her hand up, and we're going to have to run to the end. Merle.
I was just going to say, you know, with the masking, with the curriculum, with everything, you know, we live in Phoenix. The school boards, I don't know about all the school boards. The Scottsdale School Board was also attacked to the point where they wanted to spend $3 million on a special election to get rid of the elected school board people. What is good about, so I don't know all the Scottsdale schools anymore, but the school that our girls go to, it's the equivalent of a private school. It's a public school, but and it's part of Scottsdale schools, but it's the equivalent of a private school. And what they've done, I mean, a lot of parent involvement, or whoever, you know, the children live with. But the parent involvement has created a cooperation where kids are at least learning what's going on in the world, with the expectation that they go home or wherever they are, have discussions with their parents, and the parents have a form that they have. So if the kids hear something on this news broadcast every morning, they're given a form, and they have to, or emailed a form to the parents or something, that they have to go home and they have to discuss it, so that the school knows that this was discussed, and that the parents discussed it, or the guardians discussed it with the children, and that it's created less conflict by creating this program.
Well, I mean, this is a way, Merle, that we're all learning how to communicate. And that's a good thing about today. Not everything is microaggressions. There are
exactly.
many good,
I'm grateful for it.
There are good things that we are learning about community formation and collaborative conversations. And yes, I'm going to end with Penina.
Okay, I kind of like second what was discussed right now. We have to understand that the child ability to judge and to choose and to think about will start actually at home. So where will he learn how to differentiate between being when he reads a book, unless he was taught it at home, what's wrong and what's right, and he hears discussions of the parents in the house talking. So that's why I'm still saying that the collaboration between the parents and the school curriculum should be always there.
And not that I'm into the justice issue today, but it's always an issue. Do you realize that what you're saying is extraordinarily difficult in broken, low-income, unemployed families?
Or uneducated.
For sure.
Okay, and what we're saying works the best in the country we live in today is not available to large numbers of children. And that's a whole different discussion for a different day, but it occurs to me, our formulation is right. Yes, parents, school board, faculty, students, finding ways to communicate, that's great, but that doesn't speak to huge numbers of kids in our country. And that's scary. On that happy note, we send our prayers and blessings to the new Maccabee, Zielinski, and we pray. We pray.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Love you, folks. Thank you very much. See you in a couple
Love you too.
Thank you
Bye,
so much.
Paul.
Bye,
Bye, everyone.
everybody.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
Have a nice
Good day.
Bye, Susie.
Bye. Thank you.